for tonight's practice, I'll have you start off in a nice seated position. And it's your choice how you want to start off. Do you want to have your ankles crossed or maybe have one leg lie in front of the other? I'm going to adjust my camera here. Okay, and then suss around. Move anything that you need to move, any love, so that your sit bones are rooted down. And then I want you to make a choice to either have your hands resting by your side on the ground, so they're touching the ground, or touching your thighs. And sit up nice and tall. Take a nice full inhale in through the nose. Hold at the top. And then HA, sigh it out. Hold at the bottom. Full inhale in. Hold at the top. HA, sigh it out. Hold at the bottom. Full inhale. Hold at the top. HA, sigh it out. And now let your breath fall into a even rhythm. So take a nice full inhale in. Expanding the belly. And then exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Full inhale. And exhale. Now, if you would like, you can continue with these breaths, the big, deep breaths, or you can allow your breath to fall into a natural rhythm. Letting this natural breath guide you through your practice tonight. And starting up at the crown of the head, at the top of the head. See, just give yourself a body scan here. Do you feel relaxed in the forehead? Maybe you need to furrow your eyebrows a little bit. Maybe raise your eyebrows. Maybe raise your ears. And then coming down to the face, scrunching the nose and the eyes. Moving the jaw. Noticing if there's any tension that you're holding. And then once you get to the neck, maybe you move the head from side to side. Continuing your breath, don't let that go. And then find a point of stillness. And then wherever you connected your hands, leave your hands connected, but just move the shoulder blades around. Maybe bending the elbows. Moving a little bit from side to side, keeping your strong breath. And then coming down to the base of the spine where your sit bones are rooted and grounded into the mat. And you can make subtle movements here, but you know that you have this solid foundation, that you're rooted down. You can even move a little forward and backwards. Maybe you do a pelvic circle, reverse direction. And then working your way down the thighs to the knees. Maybe you feel like you can move around a little bit here. And then down the shins to the ankles and the feet. And if you can, making some movement with the feet. And then come to a point of stillness, knowing that you've just brought awareness to the body. Rooting down to the ground, sitting up nice and tall. Return to your breath. And then take your last breath here, taking a nice full inhale. And sign it out. All right, take your legs nice and wide. Lift and shift your hips so you have connection with the sit bones. Send your legs long, heels are touching the mat, toes are up. And if you can, try to keep your knee in line with the second and third toe. Sometimes our weak ankles will let our feet kind of sway to one side or the other. Keep the toes flexed. You'll come into a seated wide-legged forward fold. So if you need to be a little more gentle, use any props to bring yourself up. And you'll be here for the next 5 minutes, sitting up nice and tall, creating this connection with the root chakra, which is your chakra associated with safety. So when you are here, you know that you are safe and you're creating your foundation. So when you feel ready, root down through your sit bones, reach your arms up high to the sky as you inhale, and slowly start folding forward as you exhale, keeping the legs and the heels engaged into the ground. Coming down to a point that will feel good for you for the next 5 minutes. I will mind the time. Keep the breath long and even. about halfway through, so give yourself this full body check really quick. Make sure that your toes are in line with your knees, didn't splay out, that you still feel rooted and grounded equally. Shoulders aren't tensing up, breath is equal. I'm starting to enter your last minute. Take your final breath here. And then slowly bring yourself up as you inhale. Bring your legs together. And then come onto your stomach. So now you are prone. I will show on my left side first. Okay. So make any adjustments that you need so you feel like you're equal and balanced. That the hips are even. And then I'm going to have my elbows underneath my shoulders, bringing my left foot to the inside of my right leg, placing my left hand underneath my face. I'm going to lift myself up and thread my right arm underneath. And then slowly lifting the left arm up high to the sky, finding a supine twist here. So the goal with this twist is that we have a little bit of our hip bones still engaged onto the mat, but we're starting to open up our sacral chakra area, our area of creativity. And you'll be here for the next 3 minutes. So if having your arm up high to the sky isn't your jam, you can always bring it down to the side. You're about halfway through. Thirty more seconds left. Take your final breath here and let yourself mindfully come back and connect. Prone onto your mat. So you're coming long, elbows are underneath the shoulders. You're pressing into the mat. You're resetting here, maybe shifting any weight around that needs to be changed. And then slowly and carefully coming over to the other side. So bringing the right foot to the right foot to the inside of the left hand. Placing the right hand underneath the face, lifting yourself up, threading the left arm underneath. And then slowly adding your supine twist, opening up to the right side. And the right arm can stay up high to the sky, or maybe it touches the ground, or it comes parallel to the lateral side of the body. Return back to your long, deep breath. See if you can really soften here. One more minute left. Take your last final breath in this pose. Carefully release yourself out. So placing the right hand down, de-threading the left arm. Coming back into a pseudo sphinx pose to reset. Looking forward. And then place the palms underneath the shoulders and push yourself back into a child's pose, gently and carefully. Resting the forehead onto the mat. Taking a nice full cycle of breath here. HA side out. And then shift forward into your tabletop pose. And bring your right knee through to your hand, setting yourself up for a swan pose. So you can bring the right shin more parallel to the top of the mat if you want something a little deeper. Tuck under the left toe, lift the knee a little bit, and just set it down mindfully. And if you want, you can leave your left toes tucked or untucked if you'd like. So to begin, I want you to place your palms underneath your shoulders and sit up nice and tall here. Feel the palms root down. You'll be coming into sleeping swan for 7 minutes, and this is going to correlate with the solar plexus chakra. Like, this is the chakra that is associated with the ego. And sometimes we can let our ego get the best of us. Like, we don't know when to back off, and we do too much because we feel like that's what we need to do. So I want you to be in this sleeping swan pose in a version that will work for you, not to impress anyone, not to say you did the deepest variation, the longest, or anything like that. I want you to know where you need to be for the next 7 minutes. So with that said, take a nice full inhale in. And as you exhale, recline forward, where you will be for the next 7 minutes. See if you can be in a spot where you can really enjoy this stillness. Connect with your breath. Let your breath be your anchor. And I'll let you know when we're about halfway through. about halfway through. Try to stay with the modification or the variation that you took for this pose. Take your final cycle of breath here. Really have it be mindful. Nice full inhale. HA, sigh out the exhale. And then use your hands to slowly walk yourself up. Palms are underneath the shoulders. Coming up nice and tall. And then tuck under your left toes and shift yourself back into a child's pose to reset here. Taking some real mindful, deep breath. And then shift back forward into your tabletop pose when you've completed your exhale. Bring the left knee through the hands. Once again, setting yourself up for your swan pose on the side. And if you need to, tucking under the right toes, lifting the right knee back. And then find a point where you can feel comfortable, solid, and grounded. A point where maybe you can take this pose a little deeper, but not too deep. And let's just find some stillness and appreciation with the palms rooted down, coming up nice and tall. Soften anywhere in the lower body, the neck, the shoulders. Maybe on your next breath, you feel your torso expand. And then when you exhale, slowly start folding forward, where you'll be for the next 7 minutes. You're about halfway through.
All right, Yogi. Take a full cycle of breath here. Let your inhale, your next inhale, guide yourself up so the palms are underneath the shoulders. A few cycles of breath. And then tuck under the right toes, lift the right knee, set both knees onto the mat underneath the hips, not necessarily hips distance apart. And then settle the bum onto the heels and bring yourself up into a hero pose. So the palms are on the thighs. And sitting up nice and tall, just feel where you're at right now. We work the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus chakra. Then the next half, we'll be working up in the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. So I hope you feel rooted and grounded. You feel a little creative. And you've held yourself through doing something hard. All right, take a nice full inhale in through the nose and sigh it out. Come off of your heels by bringing them off to the side gently. Bring the bottoms of the feet together. This next one's going to be reclined pigeon, or I'm sorry, reclined butterfly. So I know for me, I really would like to keep my feet totally touching. So I'm going to use a strap. If you want, you can always place blocks underneath your knees. And then you can always have a bolster at your back or not. And then you'll be in this reclined butterfly for 7 minutes. And really, when you recline back and you're lying back, try to have your palms facing up to the sky because that gives a little extra rotation in the shoulders and opening of the heart. So whenever you're ready, make sure you're rooted, grounded, centered, equal on your sit bones. Everything is supported that needs to be supported in your foundation so that you can feel receptive in the heart. And whenever you are ready, slowly start reclining back. You're about halfway through. If you feel called to in this last half of the pose, maybe placing the left hand on the heart and the right hand on the belly. Still keeping the heart, the chest open though. All right, take a nice full cycle of breath here. Slowly bring yourself up to a seated position. Sitting up nice and tall. Removing any props from behind you or underneath your knees. Okay. For this next one, you might want to sit on a block. We're going to be coming into saddle pose, which you bring your heels to the outside of the thighs, and it's easier to start in tabletop. Come back into hero. Set a block if you want, and then splay the heels out to the side. Okay, so that's the easiest accessible way to get into saddle, or any variation in between. And what you'll do in saddle, you can stay up nice and tall if you would like, but slowly recline back if you can, so that you can tip your chin up and head back. So not only are you getting a little heart opening here, but now you're getting into a little bit of the throat opening. And if the forearms are not your jam, place your hands behind you and tilt the head back and up. So be gentle here because you're opening up the throat chakra. And that's associated with speaking your truth and speaking up. And a lot of times we don't do that because we don't want to be vulnerable in speaking our truth and wondering what other people are going to think or judge about us. So we tend to drop the chin and cut that off. So we're not going to be here very long, 3 minutes, but just explore here what that feels like to have a little opening. I won't do this, but make your breath audible. And if you want to play around with humming as you're doing it, I want you to be welcome to it, okay? So I will cut, we're about 30 seconds in. I'll call you back in about 2.5 minutes, okay? So be gentle, be open. Okay, yogi, take your last cycle of breath here. Carefully, carefully bring yourself back up. And extend both legs long in front of you. Maybe moving the heels around. Cool. Okay. Next up, stack your left leg on the bottom, parallel to the top of your mat, and then have your right leg stacked on top in parallel. If you're cool here, stay here, but if you want to come into cow face, bring the left heel to the right glute and the right knee stacks on top of the left. Bring your arms to a T. Bring the left arm in front of you, bend the elbow. Bring the right elbow on top of the left, coming into eagle arm variation. All right, place your left thumb on your third eye, so the spot in between the eyebrows and just slightly above. And this is where I want you to focus your breath. So focus on this spot. And the third eye is the chakra that correlates with forward thinking. So moving forward. Keep the shoulders relaxed and take long, deep breaths. one more cycle of breath here. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your focus at the third eye spot. Slowly release your arms and reach your right hand to your back, the left hand on top, finding an eagle arm variation. This is just a counter pose, a cow face arm variation. This is a counter pose to the eagle arm variation you just did. You won't be here as long. But keep the focus going in and out of the third eye. You're rooted down. The crown of the head is starting to reach up higher and higher. Take one more full cycle of breath. As you exhale, slowly release, set your hands down, have them attached to the ground, and then send both legs long. Feel what you feel between the left and the right, and then switch sides. So stack the right leg on the bottom, shin is parallel to the top of the mat, left leg is on top in your fire log variation, and then you choose what works for you. Do you want to come into cow face legs or stay in fire log? Bring your arms out to a T, bring your right elbow or right arm in front of you, bending your right elbow, left elbow comes on top. You find your eagle arm variation and then place the right thumb where the third eye is. And you just find that sweet spot where you're nice and tall. The shoulders are sliding down and away from the ears. And think about just all this work you've done so far. Your sit bones are rooted down. You feel your belly rise. You feel the diaphragm and the rib cage expand. Feel your heart opening. Your chin maybe sits up a little higher. And the thumbs resting on the third eye. Slowly, mindfully, take your last cycle of breath here, keeping your eyes closed and the gaze still coming out of the third eye. Sitting up nice and tall, unwinding the arms, reaching the left arm behind, right arm comes to the back, over the shoulder into your cow face on. Right elbow's reaching up, left elbow is reaching down, spine is nice and strong. Crown of the head is now reaching up towards the cosmos. Taking your final cycle of breath here. Slowly release your arms. Place your fingertips or palms onto the ground. This time, feet are flat, knees are up. Hug the knees into the chest, sitting up nice and tall. And then lower yourself down onto the mat, one vertebra at a time. So the back of the head is onto the mat. Shoulders are glued down to the mat. And then slowly extend one leg long. And then the other. Coming into your final pose of Shavasana. Knowing that I am minding the time for you. So you can enjoy this time floating off into the crown chakra, into the chakra related to bliss. And I'll call you back.
Yogis, if you want to end your practice with me, I will cue you now. If not, stay in your Shavasana pose. To end your practice, give yourself a nice full body stretch, coming on to your right side. And then using your left palm, slowly pushing yourself up into a seated pose. Hands can rest onto the thighs, sitting up nice and tall. And just feel this connection that you have with your root chakra grounding down into the earth. The sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And we're never ever one totally and completely all the time. They're all working together. So maybe in this moment, you feel a connection to one more than the other. And when you're ready, reach your palms up high overhead. Bring them together in prayer. Pull them down through heart center, but pause at your third eye as a reminder to have loving thoughts. Pause at your lips as a reminder to have loving words. And then pause at your heart with a soft bow as a reminder to have loving actions towards yourself and towards others. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in you. Namaste.